So, you're applying for a thing, huh? Well, you'll need a professional cover letter and a CV, which is exactly what I'm going to be helping you with today. And stick around till the end of the video where I'm going to be giving you details on how you can download the free template for a professional cover letter and CV that I personally use, which has got me into competitive programs at both Cambridge and Harvard University. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Shane and I'm a recently qualified doctor and neuroscience supervisor at Cambridge University, and today we're going to be crafting together a professional cover letter and CV. I'm going to be talking about how to structure your CV, what relevant information to include in each section, and finally I'll talk about the cover letter. And as always, there'll be timestamps for all of the sections down below and you can click to whatever thing that you're most interested in. Anyway, let's get to it and start creating the perfect CV. So if you're a student or someone who hasn't actually applied for jobs before, a CV is a document that provides some relevant background information about yourself and the things that you've done that makes you suitable for the job. Importantly, it needs to be written very well and structured very clearly to convey information to whoever's reading it very quickly. So to do this, one of the first things that your CV's got to have is a good structure. To do that, I recommend splitting the CV into 4 chunks. 1, the introduction, 2, academia, 3, industry, and 4, excellence. Now let's go on and look at each of these sections in a bit more detail. So the introduction chunk needs to include 2 things, your name and details, and then a summary about yourself. I'll give you an example of what that might look like. So name and contact details right at the top, I've got my name, then I've got the 2 main degrees that I have, then I have my address, my email, and my telephone. Then after that I have my summary where I just in 2 sentences summarize what I'm all about and what I do. Now the summary isn't something very lengthy, it's literally 2 sentences that's just massively attention grabbing and just tells whoever's reading it, you know what, I'm great, I'm fantastic. Now is not the point to be humble, but of course don't be too arrogant, but you want to be on the side of look at me, I'm great, keep reading. Now let's look at the second chunk, which is academia. Now in this section you need to include 2 things, education and any research experience you have. Now let's have a look at an example of what I mean by that. So in terms of education, chronologically order any educational qualifications and achievements that you have. Don't go too overboard, for example mine, I talk about the most recent degree that I have right at the top and I kind of stop at the GCSE kind of level. I think going any further beyond that is maybe a little bit too much. I don't think anyone really cares what your SATs score are, and maybe don't even remember what the hell the SATs were anyway. So yeah, be sensible about it. I think higher up you go, higher qualifications you get, maybe you have a master's or a PhD or whatever, kind of probably start leaving out GCSEs and A-levels and that kind of stuff. Keep it like an evolving process. Then in terms of research, not everyone will have research. In fact, it's actually the minority that have any research experience. But if you have any, then showcase it and show people that, wow, look at me, I've got research stuff. And what I mean by research experience are things that you've published in a journal and things that you've presented at a conference. So for me, I recently had a technical note that was published. Then I also have 2 other papers in draft, and then I have another paper that's already published. Right, now let's look at the next chunk, which is industry. Within this section, you want to include your employment history and any positions of responsibility that you've held. So let's have a look at an example of that. Just as with your academic stuff, your employment history, order it chronologically with the most recent one at the top. Unfortunately, if you're a student, the chances are you might not have a load of stuff to put in here. So include any work experience or anything that you think is close enough to employment. So for me, I talk about some self-employment stuff, then I talk about being a neuroscience supervisor at Cambridge University, being an interview tutor at my old school, and then other kind of charity stuff that I've done. Then for positions of responsibility, you want to include anything that you've done where you might not have been paid or you were paid, but it involved holding a degree of responsibility. Either you were a leader in a project or you were a key team member or anything like that. So myself, I started this multimedia organization that helped educate medical students, and I was also deputy head at Derby Grammar. Other examples that you can throw in there, if you were president of a society or you were a publicity officer or anything like that, you can always put something like that in. Now let's move on to the final chunk, which is excellence. Now I know this sounds a little bit funny, but this is one of the key factors that's going to set you apart from the crowd. So within excellence, you've got to include 2 things. One are awards and the other is professional development. And I'll give you an example of both of those things. So awards, just as with education and employment, chronologically order the awards and prizes that you've got. And again, with education and employment and stuff, be sensible, you know, don't include, I don't know, the prize that you got for the neatest handwriting when you were at primary school, but include things for, I don't know, maybe you got a national prize for writing a best essay in a particular field or whatever. So for example, start off at the international level, moving down to national, university, A-level and GCSE. Probably stop at that. Don't go any further unless it is super impressive and you achieve loads of stuff at that point. Then for professional development, include things that you've done that have given you a set of professional skills. Things that maybe not many other people have, but makes you desirable for the job because it's quite a good thing to have. So I'll give you an example of mine. I went on a surgical skills course. I also have an emergency first aid qualification, and I also have some software experience in terms of statistical analysis as well as editing, web design, etc. So by using this design, you've been able to clearly structure your CV, make sure you've included only the relevant information, and you've also made it attention grabbing by kind of top loading the highlights and making sure the person who's reading it gets the most important and the most impressive things first. Another way that you can grab attention is the way something is formatted and the way it looks and the way it's designed. So for that, hopefully the pre-formatted free downloadable template is going to help you out, so stick around to find out about that. Anyway, next let's talk about the cover letter. Firstly, what exactly is a cover letter? How is it different from a CV? And why should you include one? Basically, the cover letter is a brief introduction about yourself, highlighting the most impressive things about you and explaining what you're applying for and why. Whilst a CV is a bit more of a general document that lists out all the broader background information about yourself. Importantly, the cover letter is the front-facing, attention-grabbing machine. Here's what I mean by this. When you're on YouTube deciding what video to watch, you firstly look at the thumbnail and the title. The thumbnail and the title has to be enticing enough for you to actually decide to click on it and consume whatever the content is within it. The thumbnail and title is essentially the cover letter, whilst the CV is the content of the video. So thumbnail and the title aren't enticing enough, you're never going to click on the video to actually consume the content. Equally, if your cover letter wasn't enticing enough, you're far less likely to actually go further and read the CV. This is why it's really important to include a very good attention-grabbing cover letter alongside your CV. But how can we structure it to make sure it flows very well and we are including all the elements of the bestsellers, the highlights, as well as what you're applying for and why you're applying? And to do that, I'm going to use the example cover letter that I used to apply for supervision jobs at Oxford University. So essentially, in the first sentence, all I'm doing is I'm introducing myself, saying who I am, and what I'm applying for. And this is what it looks like. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm a recently qualified doctor, soon to be working at John Radcliffe Hospital, and I'm writing to inquire about undergraduate and clinical tutor roles at X College. Then I go on to deliver my highlights and best-selling features. And this is what that looks like. I have a wealth of teaching experience, most notably over 3 years of experience as a neuroscience tutor and clinical supervisor at the University of Cambridge. During this time, I've supervised 5 colleges and over 50 students, whilst also founding a multimedia learning platform for medical students. So after you've delivered the bestseller and the highlight that makes you suitable for the job, move on and maybe provide a little bit of background about yourself that's unique, that might set you apart from your competitors. So for me, I decided to talk about education. I recently graduated from the University of Cambridge following completion of the 6-year medical course. My outstanding academic performance during this time has earned me a first-class degree, several prizes, and scholarships. Next, I've gone on to convey some passion and desire for the job. Essentially, you want to show that you actually care about the job that you're applying for. So in my cover letter, I've done it like this. Now I'm beginning a new chapter as a foundation doctor at the John Radcliffe Hospital, and I'm looking to pursue my passion for academia and education. Then right at the end, I have a nice conclusion to round everything off and ask them to seriously consider my application. And I do that like this. I will be grateful if you would kindly consider my application to become a neuroscience or a clinical tutor at your esteemed college. I have attached my CV and will be delighted to provide references from the directors of studies here at Cambridge upon request. I look forward to hearing from you soon. By following this format for both your cover letter and your CV, you're going to set yourself apart from the crowd, making sure that your whole application is a load more professional and much more enticing than the rest of your competitors. Now, if you want more ideas on how you can actually build up your CV, then definitely check out this video. And if you're a student and you're not too sure what you should be applying for and what are nice side hustles, then definitely check out this video on tutoring and basically learn how you can tutor and maximize how much money you gain from that. And for the free download pre-formatted template for both the CV and cover letter, click on the link in the description box below and just fill out a short form to get full access to both those things for free. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and smash that subscribe button. I wish you the best of luck with your application, but that's it from me for today, and I'll see you guys next time.